Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Political Science 2306, the summer 2020 edition. The world is on fire, COVID, I don't know what the hell is going on edition. I'm Professor Jacqueline Demerit. I will be your professor of record for this course. Besides welcoming you with this video, I want to use this little bit of time to just kind of give you an overview of the nuts and bolts of how the course is going to work. In terms of content, we're here to talk about American and Texas government today, like literally today. I'm talking and filming right now on Saturday, May 30th. We're dealing with a global pandemic that has killed 100,000 Americans so far. We're dealing with deep-seated systemic racism that's now spilling over into murder perpetrated by agents of the states and nonviolent protests and then violent protests in response to that. So usually I spend time at the beginning of this class trying to convince students that government matters. I think right now, yeah, government matters to you. Regardless of your age, of your citizenship, your race, your religion, your gender, you value something in the world, right? It might be your family, it might be your education, it might be your money, it might be your faith. Whatever it is, chances are good that government policy affects it. For example, if you value education, then government policy determines how you're educated in K through 12. It determines the availability and accessibility of higher education. It determines what rights you have as a student. So if you want to protect the things that you value, you need to understand what the government does. You need to understand why it does it, and you need to understand what you can do to affect government policy. So government matters, and in particular for this class, rules matter. Institutional structure matters, the way the system is set up, the rules by which it operates. These are the things that shape the outcomes of the governmental process. As much as the people who are sitting in the offices that make the decisions, the outcomes are governed by the structures and the rules that constrain and limit and define the boundaries of those decisions. This class is about introducing you to those institutions of government. It's about making you familiar with the different pieces of the system, with the logic behind the way they were meant to work, behind their structure and their operation, and to introduce you to the rules that constrain that behavior, with a particular emphasis on the U.S. Constitution, the foundation of all of it, right? The thing that tells us what we can and can't, should and shouldn't do as citizens living under a government, and the thing that tells the government what it can and can't, should and shouldn't do in terms of, right, its identity as a government in charge of or with some power over its citizens. So you may be taking this class because it's required, but I want to emphasize, if you're not seeing it already, that the material we cover has real-world implications for your life and for the lives of everybody else. Mastering this material, it can give you the tools you need to protect the things that you value. And I'm going to try really hard to make sure that it can do that for you. In terms of course material, actually, let me stop and back up a little bit. The way the course is organized, it's organized into 4 units. Each of those units has kind of a chunk of work associated with it, and then one due date for all of the work. So you'll do unit 1, and you'll have all of it done by a certain date, and then the next day you'll start working on unit 2, and you'll have whatever it is, a week and a half to do all of unit 2, and then all of that is due by a certain date, and so on. I know some of you work. I know that everybody's got different schedules. I know everybody is where they are doing what they are. And so rather than have a specific due date for every assignment, you're going to have a chunk of work that's all due at a particular time. And that way you can make it work, in a way that's best for you. So unit 1 is the course introduction. The first thing in that unit is watching this video. So you already started. One of the things that you'll find as you work through this unit is a schedule. It's really a checklist that lays out what work is in which unit and when everything is due. I've tried to make this as clear as I can in the material that you'll go through. The work that you'll do, and therefore the grade that you'll earn, comes from 3 different places. The first place is a combination textbook workbook. That is electronic. It's already embedded in our Canvas site. To get it, you go to Assignments, which is on the navigation bar on the left of the screen, and just start the first assignment. Click on Chapter 1. That'll pull up the book and it'll walk you through getting access. You can buy access codes for the book from the UNT bookstore or from Vortman's. I would suggest you not do that, that you do it directly through Canvas. It's like $20 more if you get it from one of the bookstores than if you get it from Canvas. Some of the chapters in that book are textbook chapters. Each one of the textbook chapters for each page, so you'll open it, you'll read the page. At the bottom of the page, you'll see these basic reading comprehension questions. They're called Get the Gist questions. You can answer the questions over and over again until you get them right. And then once you've finished answering them, you move on to the next page, read that page, answer the questions, and so on. These Get the Gist questions are worth 15% of your final course grade. And so it's probably worth spending time to answer them repeatedly until you get them right, maximize that 15% of your grade. So some of the chapters are textbook chapters, some of the chapters are workbook chapters, and each of the workbook chapters has 4 essays that just give you a deeper dive into the course material, give you a bit more of a chance to engage with what you're learning. Those you can only do once. There's no redoing the workbook chapters the way you can redo the Get the Gist questions, and those are worth another 15% of your course grade. So some of your work comes from the textbook workbook, which is one big the second place your work comes from is discussion. So in terms of the nuts and bolts, for 1 week of this 5-week summer semester, you're going to post a question about real-world U.S. or Texas government and politics. The guidance I can give you is your post should provide sufficient background information for a student who knows nothing about the subject to be able to read your question, engage with it, and then answer it. So somebody going into it and reading it should be able to know nothing at the beginning and learn enough from your question and the way you've written your question to have an answer to that question. You can provide links as long as they're factual, valid, and reliable outside sources that you're linking to. There is a question posting schedule appended to the syllabus. It's on the course website. You'll come upon it as you work through the Unit 1 material. So 1 week, you will ask a question. And the deadline for posting questions is going to be Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. each week, starting this Wednesday, the first week of class. 1 week you ask. Every week of the 5-week summer semester, including the week that you ask a question, you will also answer 2 of your classmates' questions. You can choose any 2 questions that pique your interest or any 2 that tap into things you care about, but you must answer 2 questions every week, including the weeks that you ask a question. The deadline for answering questions is Friday at 11:59 p.m. each week, beginning this week, the first week of class. So ask 1 once, answer 2 every week. There's a schedule. It makes all of this super clear for you. The remaining question is the big one, right? Which is, what do I ask about? So what do you put in the discussion? This part of the class, this is totally free-form and open-ended. This is where there's a lot of stuff I have to cover, right? You're required to take this class. I'm required to teach you certain things in this class. And it doesn't leave a lot of space for me to really address the things that you guys care about, the reasons that you might have been drawn to the class, besides that you have to take it. So the discussion, this is where I want you to invest. This is where I want you to take the stuff related to American government and politics, to Texas government and politics. Take what you care about and bring it into this course. You can ask a question that relates to the material that we've been covering. You can ask a question that has nothing to do with the material that we've been covering. As long as it's to do with American and Texas government, if it's something that you're interested in, you want to know more about, or you want to understand other perspectives on, whatever you want, bring it to the discussion. Make that something that makes your time worthwhile and makes the class worthwhile for you. It can be current, it can be historical, it can be both, it can be local, it can be national. I just want you to have a chance to explore the things that you care about, and because I can't always make time to do that in an online context, but also just with all the stuff I have to cover, I'm going to use discussion to help us get there. I'm not a huge fan, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, I'm not a huge fan of the Canvas discussion boards. So we're going to use something called Packback questions instead. In my opinion, Packback is just better. It's set up like social. There's an app if you prefer it to the within Canvas interface. You can reply and you can react and you can engage with each other in ways that you can't do in Canvas. Directions for getting signed up and signed into our Packback discussion community. All of that's in the Unit 1 material. It's all pretty straightforward. If you have questions with that, as with anything, shoot me an email and let me know. Discussion, it's worth 10% of your final course grade. But I think it's super messed up to say, make it what you care about. Talk about what matters to you and then grade you on it. And so the grade is purely completion. If it's your week to ask a question and you ask a question, you get full points for the ask. If you answer your 2 questions, you get full points for those 2 answers. I don't care what you say as long as it's a real answer to a real question. I think that's it on discussion. Right, so then, okay, this is why I make notes. The last part of your grade comes from exams. We've got 4 exams in the class. So Unit 1 is your intro unit. Unit 2 is a bunch of material that ends with an exam on that material. Unit 3 is a bunch of material that ends with an exam on that material. Unit 4, bunch of material, ends with an exam on that material. So that's 3 exams. And then there's a comprehensive final that covers all of the course material. All of the exams are purely objective, so they're multiple choice, true, false, and I think there are some matching questions in there, but there are no essays, there are no short answers. It's all just purely objective questions, straightforward and simple. Of those 4 exams, I will drop the lowest grade, even if it is a 0, even if it is the comprehensive final. So if you miss a test, don't freak out, because that 0 will be dropped. And if you take the first 3 exams and then you're happy with your grades, don't bother taking the final because it will get graded as a 0 and I will drop it. Okay. So there are 4 exams. Exams are open for 1 day. They're open for 24 hours. So from 12:01 a.m. till 11:59 p.m. in one 24-hour block. All of this is in the course intro material for you. So there are 4 exams. They're open for 24 hours each. Once you start it, I think you have 90 minutes to finish it. It's plenty of time, I promise, for these questions. And I dropped the lowest exam. Each of the other 3 exam grades counts for 20% of your final course grade. So 60% from 3 exams, 15% from your get the gist questions, which you can answer as many times as you need to get 100. 15% from the workbook, 10% from your discussion on Packback. That's your course grade. If you need help in the course, we have 2 of the most amazing TAs that the political science department has to offer. We really lucked out. The TAs will be holding regular Zoom office hours. You can also reach them in their office hours by telephone if you prefer, because I had a phone call instead of a Zoom chat for work last week, and it was a game changer to just not have to. The video thing is exhausting. So if you want to talk to the TAs by phone instead, you can definitely do that. There's all the information you need to contact them in the instructor and TA information module, which is part of Unit 1 of the course. We also have an awesome supplemental instruction leader who will be holding, I think she said 4 sessions a week starting this week. So she'll be in touch as well. Watch the announcements on the Canvas homepage. And you've got me. I'm not going to hold regularly scheduled office hours this summer for a couple of reasons. The big one is that I want to be more generally available to you by appointment. If you want to chat with me by Zoom, by FaceTime, by Skype, by phone, if you're in Denton and you want to stand 6 feet apart and drink iced coffee, we can do that too. Please just send me an email and then we can find the next available time whenever it is that works for both of us and make it happen. And I worked my way through school. I've got 2 little kids now with no nearby support. I get it. So whatever you need to meet, however you want to meet, we'll make it work. Just reach out by email. It's first initial, last name, jdemerit@unt.edu. It's all over this Canvas site. You'll find it. I think that's all I need to tell you for now, except this, I think. I'm now guaranteeing I can never use this video for another semester, and that's fine, but we are living in wild times, man, and a lot of us are struggling. I've got my struggles. Some of you are facing struggles I cannot imagine. I know that you have more in your life than this class. Right? I know that you are more than a student in my course. I know that you're out there living your life. I know that you're trying to. We're all trying to. I think it's probably pretty hard for some of us right now. I understand that. And so please feel free to reach out. Feel free to talk to me. If you need a little bit of grace, ask for a little bit of grace. I've had people come to me at the end of rough semesters and say, I wish I had known that you would understand that childcare means I miss deadlines, taking care of my parents, my siblings, I have to work, right? Students are like, oh, well, I thought you wouldn't care that I had work and couldn't get it done. I care that you're living your life, and I care that this is a part of your life, and I want to make it a part of your life that actually has some value and is worth your time and not just a stressful thing you have to do. So I get it. I got you. Reach out. I'm here. And hopefully we can work together and make it a really good 5 weeks. And I will be back. I'll pop in now and then on video through the semester. Otherwise, keep going through the material. I'm here if you need me, and I'll talk to you soon.